Section 1. The Auction. Opening hook. 30 seconds of gripping emotion and shock. In a galaxy ruled by ancient codes and brutal traditions, she stood in silence, chained, humiliated, and stripped of her name. The last heir of a once glorious alien dynasty, now paraded like livestock. Her violet eyes flickered with fury and despair as the auctioneer's voice thundered through the chamber. Sold! To the human male in the back. And just like that, her fate was sealed. She had been bought, not for power, not for politics, but by a species her people had mocked as primitive. No one knew what the human would do with his prize. But what he did next shook the galaxy. The grand hall of Zethron Prime was alive with cruel excitement. A sea of noble aliens gathered, horned senators, scaled matriarchs, and shimmering gas beings. All of them eager to witness the scandalous final act of a fallen empire. Princess Varela, the last daughter of the Varelian royal line, stood on a rotating glass dais. Her wrists were bound in shimmering plasma cuffs, and a translator chip pulsed at her temple to keep her silent. Her pale blue skin shimmered under the spotlight, and her long silver hair draped down like a mourning veil. But her expression? Cold as a collapsing star. She refused to cry. She refused to give them that satisfaction. The auctioneer, a tentacled merchant with jeweled eyes, raised his voice. Lot 739, royal-blooded, unspoiled, defiant. A fine addition to any noble collection or interspecies pleasure court. We begin the bid at. The numbers soared instantly. 3 million credits. 5 million. 9.2. She heard offers shouted from every corner of the chamber. Not one of them bid for her humanity, her thoughts, her dignity. Only for her rarity. Then silence. A figure stood at the back, clad in nothing but a worn-out jacket, combat boots, and skin that shimmered only from the dust of the mining colony he came from. A human. He raised a single hand. 10 million credits. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Who is that? A human dares. He has the funds. The merchant blinked. The crowd turned. And Princess Varela locked eyes with the bidder for the first time. He didn't leer. He didn't grin. He just looked at her with eyes that didn't judge, didn't conquer. Just saw her. No other bids came. The hammer dropped. Sold. Her transport pod was cold and dimly lit. She sat across from him, still cuffed, still silent, but unable to look away. What do you want from me, human? She finally spat through gritted teeth. To set you free, he replied simply. She laughed, bitter and sharp. You bought me. That's not freedom. That's ownership. You think I want a slave? I don't believe in chains. I came to end yours. He reached into his jacket. She tensed, expecting a weapon. Instead, he pulled out a data chip. Proof of identity, Commander Elias Thorne. Former Earth Coalition Rescue Corps. Honorably discharged. I don't play games. I save people, even if they hate me for it. She stared, struggling to process. Why would you waste your fortune on me? He shrugged. Because you're not a thing, and no one deserves to be treated like one. He brought her to a hidden outpost nestled between the moons of Alara. There were no guards, no cameras, just peace. No one expected a war princess and a human veteran to be in hiding together. At night, she stared at the stars, still in disbelief. Why help someone like me? He sat beside her, his voice calm. Because I know what it's like to be thrown away. And I also know how it feels when someone finally says, you matter. For the first time, her eyes softened. Not with love. Not yet. But with the beginning of trust. And just when she began to hope the galaxy had forgotten her, a message crackled through the encrypted comms. A bounty. Princess Varela, alive. 100 million credits. Dead 90. Someone had discovered where she was. And someone was coming. End of Section 1 cliffhanger. Wait for the next command before continuing to Section 2. Section 2. The hunt begins. The outpost's serenity shattered the moment the bounty alert hit the black market networks. Princess Varela felt it before the system alarm even triggered. Her pulse, slow and steady for days, quickened into something feral. She wasn't just a fallen heir now, she was prey. Elias burst into the main chamber, his boots pounding on the alloy floors. His face was set, jaw clenched. Someone sold your location. We have 36 hours at best. Varela didn't panic. She stood with regal poise, even in her civilian clothes, the cuffs long gone. Then I'll surrender myself. Better me than you. No, that's not how this ends. She scoffed. You're willing to die for me, human? We are not some fairy tale romance. He stepped close, not touching her, just present, solid, unwavering. No, but maybe we're what comes after the fairy tale. Something real. That silenced her. They packed in under an hour. Elias stripped the outpost of tech, weapons, comm jammers. Anything that could be tracked. Varela loaded ammo packs like she'd done during the rebellion. Side by side, they moved with the unspoken understanding of warriors. As the suns dipped into the Alaran sky, their ship, the battered Starlight Widow, tore from the surface and vanished into the thick bands of magnetic interference around the planet. But they were already being hunted. They're closing in, Elias muttered, scanning the NAV chart. A bounty that size doesn't bring amateurs. They'll send syndicate ships, maybe even a Varelian death guard. Varela didn't flinch. Then we strike first. He turned to her, brows raised. You want to go after them? You think I'll spend my life running? No, you didn't save a princess. You rescued a weapon. He saw it now, that cold gleam behind her eyes. Not rage, not fear, calculation. And yet it wasn't devoid of warmth, as if her spirit held a duality, the storm and the sanctuary. They landed on the asteroid port of Drexa 4. It was a den of rogues, pirates, smugglers. Exactly the kind of place where bounties spread like wildfire and ships vanished in the void. We'll need an informant, Elias said. Someone who knows which crew took the contract. They headed into a dingy neon-lit bar called the Broken Jaw. Inside, oxygen-mixed fumes and unidentifiable music pulsed through the air. An old contact of Elias's, a cybernetically enhanced rat man named Quark, nearly choked on his brew when he saw Varela walk in. You brought her here. Are you insane? There's a fleet tracking her worth more than my entire species' GDP. Varela stepped forward. Which crew took the contract? The Crimson Veil, he whispered, looking around. They're ghosts. Half machine, half loyal to your enemies. Once they take a job, they finish it. You don't outrun them. You just die slower. Elias looked at her. Still want to hunt them? Her response was quiet. Deadly. I want them to fear the day they heard my name. They set the trap on a drifting ice moon. Elias wired thermal explosives into the cavern walls. Varela planted decoy signal beacons. As they worked, he watched her. The way she moved, the way she anticipated his next steps. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were sinking. You were never just a princess, he said softly. She glanced at him, eyes shimmering with emotion she refused to name. And you were never just a human. The Crimson Veil arrived at dusk. Silent ships, black hulls, red-marked androids stepping onto the moon's surface like walking executions. They followed the decoy signal. The moment the last one crossed into the cavern mouth, Varela triggered the blast. Fire and ice collided in a storm of destruction. Elias leaped from the ridge, rifle blazing. Varela followed, twin daggers slicing through cybernetic limbs. It wasn't a battle. It was a message. They left one survivor, barely. Varela knelt beside the twitching machine man. Tell them this, she whispered. I am not for sale. Not anymore. She plunged her blade into the ground beside his face. Not killing him, but marking him. A warning. As they watched the Veil's ship retreat, Elias and Varela stood alone, bloodied but unbowed. They'll send more, he said. Let them come, she replied. He turned to her, and in that moment, she didn't look like someone who needed rescuing. She looked like someone who had chosen to stand with him. We can't stay on the run forever, she said. Then let's stop running, he answered. And just like that, the hunted became the hunters. End of Section 2. Prepare for Section 3 only upon your command. Section 3. The choice that changed the galaxy. It started as a whisper. A human and an alien royal fighting side by side. A broken princess rising from chains to carve her own fate. Mercenary fleets that returned burned, with warnings carved into their hulls. The legend spread faster than the bounty. But with fame came danger, deadlier, darker. It wasn't long before Varela's past caught up. Not bounty hunters. Not pirates. But her own people. The Varelian High Council launched a broadcast across every civilized sector. Varela's image filled the whole of screens, regal and calm. Daughter of the throne, if you can hear this, said a voice Varela hadn't heard in years. Come home, or be declared traitor to our blood and erased from history. She stared in silence. Elias watched her carefully. I thought your family was dead, he said quietly. My mother is, she whispered. But my uncle, he's the one who sold me to that auction. And now he wears the crown. Elias clenched his fists. You can't go back to that. I don't intend to go back, she replied, her voice like steel. I intend to take it back. They traveled to the Varelian homeworld, hiding behind mining freighters and distortion fields. Each night aboard the ship, they spoke less of survival and more of after. What happens if we win? Elias asked once. I don't know, Varela admitted. I've never lived without fear. Or duty. But I think I'd like to learn. He reached for her hand, and this time she didn't pull away. The palace had changed. Fewer guards. More machines. Cold walls where sunlight used to pour in. Varela knew why. Her uncle feared rebellion from his own people. And fear made tyrants weak. They slipped in through the old aqueduct tunnels. The same ones Varela had played in as a child. Elias moved silently behind her. In the throne room, her uncle stood draped in black armor, smug and certain. I knew you'd return, he said, his voice like acid. I returned to end what you began, Varela said. You sold me, betrayed our people. You wear the crown, but I carry their hope. He laughed. Hope. No one will follow a girl who slept beside a human. Elias stepped forward. Funny. I didn't hear them complaining when she saved the galaxy from your assassins. Blasters ignited. Blades drawn. But the royal guards did not move. They looked at each other. Then at Varela. And one by one, they knelt. The battle lasted only minutes. Varela never raised a weapon against her uncle. She didn't have to. The people had already made their choice. Elias stood beside her as she approached the throne. Take it, he said. She stared at the seat of power. Then she turned away. I don't want to rule them. I want to lead with them. In the days that followed, the crown was melted. A new system born. The Varelian Republic, led by a council of voices, not bloodlines. Varela became a symbol, not of royalty, but of rebellion, rebirth, and freedom. And Elias? He was offered medals, honors, even wealth. But he only asked for one thing. To stay. On a hill overlooking the Capitol Gardens, Varela and Elias stood watching the sunrise. Do you regret it? He asked. She smiled. Being sold? Being hunted? Almost dying. He chuckled. All of it. She turned to him. No, because in all that chaos, I found you. They leaned in, not for drama, not for a storybook kiss, but because it was time. Time to stop surviving and begin living. Final line asterisk. Asterisk, they auctioned her to a human to break her spirit. But he gave her something far more dangerous, freedom. And with it, she changed the galaxy forever. Asterisk.